Welcome, everyone. My name's Jeff St Laurent, and in just a minute, I'm going to bring on my awesome mentor coaching client. But before that, I help coaches transition to a full-time business, and I have a lot of great, if I can say, resources to help you out on that journey on my website, sellingcoaching.com. I record all these live shows. I put them in my university. That's a great resource for you. And then also right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, if you enter your name and email address, you'll get an audio recording. It's a resource, the first 3 vital steps to launching your full-time coaching business. So definitely check that out. Got a lot of other great stuff going on. But you know what? That doesn't even matter right now because I'd like to welcome Kevin Hunting. Welcome to the show, man.
Great to be here, Jeff. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So this is cool because Kevin did my 14-day GoPro challenge. And then he ended up signing up for my 5-month GoProElite group mentor coaching program. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of like, this is cool. We finished up our program probably like a month and a half ago.
Yep.
Ish.
Just over a month.
So it's kind of good reconnecting again. And then I just wanted to share kind of his path forward because it's been 5 months, but you can do a whole lot in 5 months. And I labeled this the success story, but I said he did the work because, I mean, I have a lot of clients that do the work, so don't want to put that in anyone's mind. But Kevin, he did the work, and I kind of want to highlight some of that for everybody. So Kevin, let's talk about this. So tell everyone like where you were at first when you decided to do the GoPro challenge, my 14-day GoPro challenge, so people get a snapshot of where your business was.
Okay. Seriously, I was at a place where I was just trying to like figure out what was my practice going to look like. I was just finishing up my studies through IPEC, which many of you I know with Jeff have gone through their training program, but I really was, I kind of didn't know what was next. There was sort of like writing a book, right? You get to write your book, but a lot of times because you're now an entrepreneur, a solo entrepreneur, it was all new to me. And so what made sense to me at that moment in terms of seeing the 14-day GoPro challenge was it provided like the structure it provided, but also the content aligned nicely with where I was because it was all about helping me understand like what my brand story is, what is my coaching story, what is my story as an individual, and then really bringing that story to life over time. And it was, there were some nerves there. They're definitely right because you're on this 14-day sort of roller coaster ride. That's how I would describe it. It's like a 14-day roller coaster ride that if you're up to it, it's powerful because you get so much done in such a concentrated period of time. And you have the support, obviously, not only from Jeff, which is amazing, but you also have the support and the interaction with all the other individuals who are going through this challenge with you, which in the end, I think is one of the most powerful aspects of the program is that the notion of collaborating and just sharing stories and being there and supporting one another really makes it, that's what I think really helps differentiate the program overall is that you need that too. And in the space where I was, because things were so new, it was the first time going live and sharing my brand story, you needed that support from, I think, all the other people who are going through it with you.
Yeah, it was cool seeing how you evolved like in that short of time. And then afterwards, you were like all in, you're like, let's do this. So we did the 5-month GoProElite group coaching program. So let's start off like you did a lot. I mean, the group we were in, we had a great group, but everyone really pushed themselves. So start to talk about kind of where we started off, because like the 14-day challenge brought you to the spot where, got you out there, but now is really pulling together a full-fledged marketing system and, designing a challenge for yourself, for your team and everything for your people. So talk about kind of the evolution of kind of where we started to go from building off the fundamentals for you.
So for me, it was knowing that I did the 14-day GoPro challenge. I knew right away that I was like, the structure and the accountability piece is so key. Again, if you're just starting out, it's something that you probably recognize that you need, but it really takes, I would say it takes the right type of a mentor coach or coach to help you in that space because, coaches come in all different sizes and flavors. And so for me, I knew that the accountability piece that I'd already experienced in the 14-day GoPro challenge is what I needed based on where I was then at that point. And so for me, it was creating this, really not even having a concept of what a challenge would look like for myself based on, again, my niche, who I was targeting. But through starting Jeff's program and the Elite program, it gave me the time and the space, but also the structure again that helped me get it up and running pretty quickly. Again, it's amazing how much you get done in a very short period of time. And so that's the power. That is really the power, because seriously, if I was left to my own devices, it probably, if I didn't do the program, right, less the program, I think I still would be, making some good headway and progress, because that's my kind of general nature and disposition. But in doing it again, having that accountability piece, and also someone who has done this time and time again, all of that insight and best practices that was being shared allowed me to quickly synthesize and come up with an idea that resonated first with me, that I really enjoy, which was around leadership. I did a 10-day leadership challenge, but it was amazing how quickly it came together. That's what I think the power of it was. And so it was, again, you deal with your nerves, you kind of deal with some of your gremlins, if you will, or the things that are blocking you as you're going through this process. But again, it's much more intimate. You're with only maybe, tops 5, 6, maybe 7 other people that are with you going through the same thing. And again, that dynamic I find to be really powerful, is just being able to relate to them and have them relate to you, because you're all going through this similar experience. And with Jeff there, kind of helping you navigate, which is what I would call it, is providing great insight on what marketing looks like when you're doing it well for a webinar or a challenge. He brings all of that insight to you. And again, having never done it, I needed that. It's what I really wanted and needed for my practice. And so it was a wild ride as usual, but it's so worth it in every aspect of it.
So let's talk a little bit about the details of the wild ride, because that's where I like to, as you know, I like to get real with people, like even the stuff that I do here. Obviously, we get really real when we're doing the program, right? When we're the week to week, sessions we have. So you mentioned your 10-day leadership challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst creating that, marketing that, actually executing on that, then going on the back end, setting up another one, understanding how you can, bring that into different, places, and how to fill the seats differently. See if you could highlight some of like the real work.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say like the real work is, for me, the one piece that I remember, and I still use it. That's the thing. Like everything I've learned, I continue to use. So it doesn't stop. That's the other piece. But for example, I created not only 10 videos. So I actually created videos myself with the direction of, of course, Jeff and again, the best practices and all that good stuff, but got to develop the scripts. So I created my own scripts that made sense for the flow of my 10-day challenge. Did that, actually created videos, got even comfortable doing some editing, which I wouldn't say I'm an editor by a video editor, but was able to do some basic good video editing to get those up and running. And then alongside that, developed supplementary interactive material that people were using each one of the days that they were going through the challenge. And they could download those through a private Facebook group and actually keep that material as well. They can reuse the stuff ongoing. And so that's like one aspect of it. And I would say for me, the beauty in that was there's a lot of creativity that it gives you. It gives you a lot of space to play creatively in terms of what works for you. If it's not video, maybe it's some other medium, but that again is the flexibility of going through the program, as you get to decide with Jeff what really works for you and what resonates with you. And so I'd say that was one component. The other piece was, again, the marketing. You mentioned Jeff, which was really coming up with a much more comprehensive launch marketing plan that, backs into the date from launch, working backwards by almost up to 2 weeks, but really allowed me to pinpoint each day when I was going to be publishing content either through Facebook or Instagram and even in LinkedIn, and what that looked like in terms of the content and even the voice and the text that you're using, which is critical. And Jeff really helped a lot, again, in those areas, because he has done this so often. So in terms of email marketing, what is it that you need to say, or what tends to work well? That was so helpful because, again, I didn't have any experience in that aspect of it. With an email marketing I did, but not the actual copy that you would use in terms of trying to engage a potential new client or someone who was going to join the challenge. And so all of that came together. All of that was like the more tactical stuff that created this overall program. And it's invaluable what you're learning, and also that, you need to push yourself to do it. But that is the power of it, is the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And the more you get out of it, I mean, is what you can even carry forward into your coaching practice as you continue, to build your clientele.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So Kevin, talk about your challenges through it all. The places where you got where you were exhausted and you were just like, I remember like after like, everyone in our group did, challenges or courses or something like that. And there was like a 1 or probably a 2-week period where I think everyone just showed up on the back end of it. Just,
we were, there was
out the back of like, oh
we
my
were kind of
God.
like, seriously, we were almost like zombies. There was a moment where it's kind of this high, like at first it's also new. So you have this high level of energy that you're of course bringing into it because you're excited that you're like, wow, I'm going to build this from literally nothing. I'm building a challenge with all the supplemental information, marketing, everything that goes behind it. You're building for yourself in collaboration with, again, the other people who are with you on this journey. But you're kind of riding the high, I would say, for me, it was up until like the actual launch and through the actual 10-day challenge. And then after that, you finally got a chance to breathe and take a step back and just witness all the stuff that you did, really all this stuff. But that is when I would say that, I myself felt like, wow, I just needed to take a little bit of a breather, because you're just going. It's, you're going, you're energized, you're excited, you're nervous. You're definitely, your gremlins are coming in and you're like, oh shit, is anyone even going to come and take part of this 10-day challenge that I've created? But after you went through it, there was a moment, I think you're right. It was probably like 2 weeks, Jeff, where for me, it was just, I need to take a step back and relax, because you are exhausted, because you're putting so much of yourself into this what you're creating. But then after that, it only took, for me, it wasn't very long, that I'd say after 2 or 3 weeks, I was just ready to get back up and start running again. And running, not running meaning like running, so fast that you're not like really being intentional, but again, to be intentional and continue this process of building my coaching practice.
Yeah, so true. And interesting though, too, in that 2 or 3 weeks of kind of like that recovery of like, wow, I just put everything in a concentrated amount of work in a matter of probably like 6 weeks worth of time. Mm-hmm. But even in that recovery period, you still were doing all the baseline stuff and marketing and stuff that we were talking about and set you up on. And if you look back, like to probably what you were doing prior to that, you were doing so much more than you ever were doing in your recovery phase.
You're right. Even in the phase afterwards, because I wasn't doing it before, I was being much more consistent in my, again, social media presence. And consistency is really one of the key messages that hopefully you pick up as you're going through this with Jeff too, is as a coach, I even see it today with other coaches, being consistent is everything. And even when you think that your message isn't being either heard or people aren't responding or you're not getting, you think that it's not having the impact that you think it should be having because you're just not seeing the response. Those are the moments when I think you need to stay the course. And that was kind of a mindset that I picked up very quickly with Jeff. Was it's all about consistency. It's all about being consistent and doing the work every single day. It's the only way that you're going to get that. I know that I'm going to be able to make my coaching practice what it is that I want it to be. And so you're right. All my social media, my weekly email was something that I'm even today. It's all going. I'm still doing my weekly emails. I'm still doing my social media. And actually I'm thinking about now of maybe taking a portion of my 10-day challenge and thinking about how I can turn that into like some 1 day or not 1 hour type webinars where the focus is just one particular topic. But that's also the beauty. After you create this huge challenge, you've got all this information that you can use. You can start to see like, oh, maybe I could take this piece out and just use it individually and speak to this topic in front of a group of people or offer it as a webinar. So you're creating so much more than you probably know when you first start. That's definitely true. I didn't know that when I first started, but you have all this other information that you can continue to build upon even after you do the challenge itself and create the challenge.
Yeah. And everything you've created is, if you repurposed in so many different ways. Before we head off, talk about, I want to pull your website up here. Talk about, what you do, who are you helping, where your specialty is and in the great stuff that you're doing.
Huh? You're going to like this. It's evolved a little bit, but my niche and basically what I do is I help audacious humans develop the clarity and courage that they need to make their next big move in life. And when I say that, it means both professional, it can be either professional and or a personal change that you're looking to make. And so I'd say it mirrors my own life in many ways. And really, I love working with people who are ready to take on a challenge. And that's been me. I've always taken on challenges. I've always sort of stepped into challenges. And so definitely the person that I'm looking for is someone who is ready and willing to go after what it is that they want in life. And, that's my focus. It's my focus. And I have to admit, I am now working, I think I shared this with you before, Jeff, but I'm working now with almost like 9 or 10 clients through a large like financial services or a bank where it's all mostly professionally focused in terms of helping them work through their challenges and what it is that they want, but certainly there is a life coaching side to it depending on what the client's needs are. So it's exciting.
It's good to hear that, because I know when we started off, like you were in conversations and that was developing. So it's good to hear now. It seems like that's actually gone through. And so you're working with 9 of those clients. Yes,
I'm working with those clients right now. And again, I'm trying to figure out, like, I think one of the other key things that you've so drilled into my head is you really need to be constantly connecting. And that's where, again, it's not an easy thing to do. I think as newer coaches and as a still, I would consider myself a new coach, connecting is where, the focus needs to be, is always building new relationships, nurturing those relationships, and not nurturing them a lot of times looking for that end goal of having a client, like really nurturing and helping and supporting people because you want to, because you in the end, for me, I know the power of coaching. And so if you can help someone have that experience, then I think there's no question. And I've already seen it again with some of the clients that I've been working with now, that it's just, you see these amazing transformations happening. And that's where my heart fills up, right? Is to see people seeing these huge changes happen in their life.
Yeah, no, it's so cool to see that. And like now you're doing the work that you want to do, right? Mm-hmm. That you want to get paid to do, which is cool. He's definitely got a great website. I put at the bottom, 2stepsforwardcoaching.com. It's the number 2. So definitely go ahead and check that out. And what I like to hear you say, Kevin, is that how your niche evolved and it's constantly evolving. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of coaches, especially they get so caught up on the niche piece. And can you just talk for a last minute or so around how you've, like, by doing the work, how that has helped your message evolve?
Yeah, I think this is a great topic, Jeff, to even like explore the idea that the experiential side of it is where there's so much gold. And I say gold in a way of there's so much to be found and discovered. And so if you're not being consistent and you're not putting yourself out there, it's hard to have those experiences. But it's in those experiences that you are, like you said, I have been able to do a lot of inner self-reflection, and also things then come to me after the fact where I'm like, you know what, my niche now, it feels more like this is the space that I want to play in. And I think the point here too is you really don't ever have it all figured out. I think that's the beauty of it. And I see, again, I was there where I was like, oh my God, my niche, like it needs to be written in stone, or, like you're caught up in your own thoughts. But as you continue to have experiences, that is where things will naturally, just organically come to you in the moment where you're like, you know what, I really enjoyed this. Like this is something. And so it helps you fine tune where it is that you want to be playing, maybe who is your target audience. And then even more importantly, what are the type of clients that I know I want to work with, because it's your practice. So you get to, as coaches, you get to choose who are your clients at the end of the day. And so I think it's only through those experiences that you can ever start to build your own self-awareness, which is really coaching. And so I would definitely put out there that if you, by not being consistent and active every day towards what you're working towards, it's hard to have those self-awareness type of moments, because there's no experience to be able to build upon. You're just sort of pulling back. So don't pull back, just keep going. Like get in the car and keep driving. Just know that it's going to take you where you need to go. That's it. I think sometimes you just have to have faith that you're like, I know this is going to go where it needs to go.